are you all? I hope you're doing well. So I have a bit of a different kind of video for you today. I am staying in California for the week and I'm pretty close to Venice Beach. Venice Beach has been something we've been talking about a lot. The homeless crisis in Venice Beach. We've also been talking about the Sheriff Villanueva going in there and announcing that he's going to clean it up and calling out all of the politicians. We've been talking about the recall they have against their city council member, Mike Bonin, who apparently everyone in Venice hates, or lots of people in Venice hate, because the problem has gotten even worse since he's been their city council member and he doesn't seem to want to address it. So there's a lot going on in Venice. Been talking about it a lot on this channel, so I figured, I also used to live in Venice Beach, and I figured yesterday I would just go out. I took my skateboard and I skateboarded down the whole boardwalk, and I took you with me to kind of show you what I'm seeing and to see what is really going on with the cleanup effort and if they've actually really cleaned up any of the tents or not. So that's what this whole video is. It's just you coming with me, and I'll sort of explain to you how it goes. I start at the Venice Beach Pier, and that's actually around where I used to live. So I just start there and I go all the way down and kind of just tell you what I see. When I'm going down, ran into a few really interesting things. One of the people I ran into was Sheriff Villanueva himself. Him and his crew, they had these electric scooters and they were just riding up and down the boardwalk. And I saw him from behind. I recognized the hat and I just ran up to him and was quickly like, can you say something for... I told him that we talked about him on this channel. So you'll see him in a small part of the video. But I bring that up because after all of this happened, I tweeted out that quick little 9-second video, and that was my entire interaction with the sheriff. And someone on Twitter picked that photo up, went to my YouTube, screenshotted one of my thumbnails, this one, and then retweeted the video out and said, I don't know if this was like some kind of left-leaning publication or person, but the person had a significant following, said LOL, told you that Villanueva is the Trump of Los Angeles or something. Look at him hanging out on the boardwalk with this Larry Elder supporter. So that's what they did. Out of a 9-second quick interaction, they take that and turn it into something. It just shows you how desperate people are to just have whatever narrative they want to have. They will literally take nothing and make it into something it's completely not. So I just thought that was really, really interesting. Last thing, I was really sad this didn't get put in the video, but one of the things I stumbled upon going down the boardwalk was when I got farther and farther down the boardwalk, I kept noticing groups of people going around and picking up trash. And there was a cleanup going on at the time, which you'll see in the video, but these just appeared to be regular people walking down and picking up trash, and a lot of them were very young. Like late teens, early 20s. So I approached a group of them, and there were hundreds of them all over the beach. I approached a group of them and was asking, are you guys volunteers or what are you doing? And it was a group of Christians. Apparently there's thousands and thousands of them that have come to LA for the entire week just to clean up and spread goodness. That's what they said. So I thought that was really interesting. Felt like they should come to LA and show LA some Jesus and clean up. So there were just hundreds of them walking up and down the beaches just picking up trash. And there's that. I was sad that I forgot to film that or put that in what I saw during the day. But you'll just see me going down the boardwalk, and I hope you like it. At the very end, when that is over, I'm going to tell you my overall thoughts for the day. Is Venice Beach getting better? Is it getting cleaner? Is it cleaner than it was when I lived there? Was it safe? All kinds of things. So I'll tell you that when the video's over. I hope you like it. See ya. River Collective, and you can see they are all about recalling Mike Bonin. This is where their security guard was attacked and almost stabbed to death by a member of the unhoused. And here's where to live. So you can see because of the pandemic, there's all of that outside seating. You can see some of the stores are still boarded up, or restaurants. And there is a fence right here that used to not be here. You can see people are eating out there, outside seating because of the pandemic. And someone's sleeping. This thing is huge. I've never seen that before. That's new, how it's closed like that. Okay, tent number 1 on the beach. We are right around the Venice Beach boardwalk. Here is the pier. You can see these guys already drinking beer. This is the start of the boardwalk right here. So that little walkway goes into the boardwalk down there. And look, there's already trash. Just trash. But I will say this, I like this situation. That's pretty cool. Is why I fell in love with Venice. Look how pretty. See, it's not all bad. At least this part. Now I'm coming up on the boardwalk. This will turn into the boardwalk pretty soon.
Well, hi there to all your viewers. A shout out there, Venice. We can make it a safe place. Let's all work together.
Okay, thank you so much.
You got it.
I am such a dork and a nerd, so I'm going down the boardwalk. I've only made it a little bit down the boardwalk already, and I didn't expect to run into anyone. I just thought that my plan was to just see the progress of the cleanup. And I run right into Alex Villanueva, the sheriff, who has been leading the charge and cleaning up Venice Beach. And I totally fangirled. I said, hey, would you mind saying something into the camera for my channel? I talk about you all the time. I was literally shaking. Like, what is the matter with me? I have met, I don't know how many celebrities. What is wrong with me? So anyway, he was really nice. He said hello. This is me talking to him, but basically him and his crew, they're just like riding up and down the boardwalk, talking to people. And I will say it was pretty amazing seeing the interaction between the sheriff and his crew and the people that lived here. I saw so many people while they were walking around come up to them and say thank you. They've been talking about how it's gotten a lot better within the past 2 months. And I have yet to see that. I've only made it to the beginning of the boardwalk, and so far I've only seen one tent, a little bit of trash, but then again, where it's really bad is towards the other end of the boardwalk. So that'll be interesting to see as I walk down further. But what is the matter with me? Why do I do stuff like that? It was so embarrassing. I'm so embarrassed. But anyway, here's Alex Villanueva, who I ran into, and that was pretty cool. Muscle Beach, which has actually been closed for a long time. But you can see there's really no one in there. There's some of the stores, some of them still shut, but mostly open. A lot of tourists playing basketball again. But look over here, there's some tents over there. And apparently this area right here, there are a lot of people in there sort of with tents, and apparently that's one of the areas that they cleaned up. But look, over here you already see another tent. They're filming something right here, which is pretty normal for LA. And you can see there's still a lot of stores that are shut down, that are not open.
I love you.
And there's that, which is pretty normal for Venice, but a lot a little bit further down the boardwalk and I'm starting to see encampments. Like, look at that. So this is definitely, I would say, a crisis. These tents were not here when I lived here. When I lived here, the tent space, hey, check this out. They are doing the cleanup right now. You see those trucks? And look, they're basically in hazmat suits, cleaning up. And then you have these people going and giving food and water, it looks like. Wow. So here's the truck cleaning up. Here's the boardwalk. And there's some police, which are always nice to see. Where I'm standing right now is the very end of the boardwalk, and this used to be nothing but tents. Like, that's it. It was just nothing but tents. And right now, I'm gonna stop filming myself and show you, but there's no tents here. So this is the very end of the Venice boardwalk, and what I showed you earlier was the worst of it. You will see no tents at all. If I look back here, looks like there's a few along here, but so where the tents used to be now are just sanitation trucks. This actually used to be a really popular restaurant. You'll see a few people up here. That one, it's not open, which is really sad. This guy is just holding up the whole thing. Okay, I'm back. So there was actually a lot going on there. It might not have looked like it, but there was. And I'll explain to you some of the things. But first, I did stay on the boardwalk, so obviously I didn't see anything that wasn't on the boardwalk. And I know that there are some streets that I know of just off the top of my head that are just awful with tents and just vans and cars parked. So I don't know if that has gotten any better. I just stuck to the boardwalk. And from what I noticed, what I saw, the boardwalk seems, there were some parts that were really bad and some parts that were shocking to me because they were areas that I wasn't used to seeing tents in. So that's why you'll see me, or you'll hear me say like, wow, like, oh my gosh. Because even though I could recognize that it was cleaner as a whole, and I think that's in thanks to the cleanup that's been happening, seeing the tents in those areas where they've spilled over, I can imagine how bad it was when it was at its worst. And so I'm sort of thinking of that in my head, and I'm pretty shocked. But yeah, it was, walking up, you saw a few tents like scattered here and there in certain areas. And then it got to that one part where it was really bad, where you saw the cleanup crew in full hazmat suits talking to people. So that was about as worse as I saw it. But then once you got past that, I didn't really see anything. And especially what I pointed out at the end, that back area used to be nothing but tents. And now that's totally clean. And you saw the sanitation trucks. There was another big truck there that I didn't get footage of, and it was a shower truck. So I guess you could come onto the truck and take a shower, which I think is a pretty cool idea. But I want to explain what happened too when I was sitting down at that restaurant. So I just sat down to take a break. I was already coming back on the boardwalk, and within being there for 30 minutes, you see the sanitation trucks go by, and they are stalled by this man on a skateboard purposefully going really slow in front of them. So that's why they had to go so slow. I think I got a little bit of that on the camera. And then a few minutes later, you see a fire truck go by, an ambulance, and they actually picked someone up and put them on a stretcher. I don't know what happened. I tried to figure it out. This is just Venice Beach, how crazy it is nonstop. There was one area where I was towards the end of the boardwalk where I just felt like, okay, I want to get out of here. I don't want to be here anymore. And you'll see it was like I panned over a restaurant that used to be open all the time. It was called the Waterfront Cafe, I think. And there would be every single day, even during the weekdays, there was always a line out in front of it. And now it's closed, and you saw sitting on the ground like just a bunch of people that to me appeared to be pretty drugged out. There was one girl that might have been doing drugs. I don't know. I just wanted to get out of there. I didn't really like it. And then seeing Villanueva and his crew, so I guess there were about 5 or 6 of them, and they were all riding these electric scooters just up and down the boardwalk, just checking things out and talking to people. And it's so interesting because you will see a lot online. A lot of people say, Villanueva riding with his cronies or whatever. A lot of people really do not like him, especially a lot of the activists really, really dislike him. But I'll just tell you what I observed when he was walking. So I saw him several times walking up and down the boardwalk. And what I observed, I didn't see him get any hate, although I know that he does. I've seen video of it. But what I observed both times I saw him were people just coming up to him and wanting to shake his hand. Residents saying, thank you so much. It's been so much better the past few months. I saw a lot of love and a lot of support for Villanueva and his whole team from the people that lived in Venice. So that's what I observed. I know he gets hate, obviously. I saw it for posting that video of him. But what I saw was pretty cool, and I saw him talking to a lot of people, and my overall feeling was that he almost seemed like a famous person just riding up and down Venice. But what I observed were people were really, really thankful and appreciative of him. So my overall feeling is that Venice still has a lot of work to do. There's a lot of people in very, very sad conditions, very unsafe conditions, walking up and down the boardwalk and that are still living in that area. And it's one thing to see videos of it. It's one thing to see photos of it. And those are shocking and tragic in and of themselves. But to see it in person is just, and you'll hear me in the videos just saying like, wow, because to see it in person is just a whole different thing. And even my camera doesn't really do it justice. And it almost makes you think, and it almost makes you question anyone that minimizes it down to just a housing issue. For instance, the LA Times wrote a huge piece on this, how this is a housing issue. And a lot of our politicians will call this a housing issue, pump all this money into housing, but that's not what is going on with a lot of these people. And it's so clear when you see it firsthand. Even though there are tents that are more populated in areas that I'm used to not seeing them, as a whole, there appear to be less tents on the boardwalk, and it appears to be a little safer and a little cleaner. But I hope you saw sort of the contrast, and this is what's so wild about LA and Venice Beach, the contrast of how beautiful it is and the tourists that are out doing just regular things and the residents, and then that right next to tents and homelessness, intense drug use, like all of these things. It's pretty wild to see it on a daily basis, and you forget it being so far away. Well, that's everything I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you're a resident in Venice Beach, let us know. Do you think it's gotten cleaner and safer? I'd be really curious to hear that. And everyone else, let me know what you think, and have a really good day. Bye.